everyone. Welcome to Mortgage Insider Edition, and this is our episode number 3. And today we have my colleague Kim Nguyen from Calgary and myself, Preet Singh from Edmonton, Wine Group Mortgage Alliance. So this is, as I said, this is our episode number 3. We are going to discuss about what's happening inside the mortgage industry, as we explained earlier in the prior episodes. So today's topic would be what documents actually you would need to qualify for any kind of mortgage and what generic documents are required. And we will also give you some tidbits why we need those documents and what actually the banks or the lenders are looking for. Kim, you have anything to add to
Yeah,
this
for
start
sure.
point? Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And this is one of the most common questions that we get asked all the time, right? Like, okay, you know what? I want a mortgage. What do I need to give to you and why do I need it to give it to you? And I
Mhm.
would say it's really broken down into 3 components, right? Preet, like I know income is a solid component. We need to see your income. We need to know how much you make. And the reason behind that is, we need to make sure you qualify for a mortgage. You can afford the payment. On
Yeah.
top of that, we also need to check your credit. We also need to check your down payment because down payment is an important piece too. And aside to all those factors, if you've got like other properties or you've got like some savings elsewhere to create net worth, those are things that we'd like to see as well too. But we'll take a deep dive into that. Maybe we'll start off with income, Preet.
Absolutely. So everybody talks about income. How much income do I need to qualify for X amount? So the documents that will narrowly, we will talk very briefly, that will narrow down the list is if you are basically, let's say, employed for a third party and you have no stake in that business or the employer's ownership, that you are an independent third person working as an employee, then normally we need is a job letter, couple of pay stubs, consistent one, very recent one, and then if your income is fluctuating, then we will need basically last 2 years T4s from that employment to confirm the fluctuating income. And this same set also applies to if you are, let's say, a salary plus commissioned employee, just like, let's say, a car salesperson who is a salary plus commission, or let's say you're 100% commission, then we would need basically a job letter, couple of pay stubs, and the last 2 years T4s. So this is for the employed person if you are employed. If you are salaried and your income does not fluctuate, a simple job letter and couple of recent pay stubs should be good enough if your income stated on the job letter is matching to identical to the pay stubs, how the pay stubs have been calculated, right? Kim,
Mhm.
anything you would like to add to the
Yeah.
employment
Yeah.
portion?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Like I think the one thing too that we get asked is, if I work here, can't I just give you pay stubs? Isn't that good
Mhm.
enough? Like what's the logic behind actually getting a letter of employment? And many people don't realize that the reason why lenders ask for a letter of employment is not only to make sure it matches up with your pay stub, right? That is one of the factors, but if you are not on good terms with your employer and you go to ask them for a letter of employment, chances are that they're not going to give it to you, right?
Mhm.
Especially
Mhm.
where we're from. I mean, again, in my market, in the Calgary market, oil and gas, that's a large majority of my clientele. I know
Mhm.
specifically in their, in their fields and stuff, if you're not in good standing, if you go to ask for a letter of employment, especially if they know that there's an upcoming layoff or anything like that is coming down the pipeline, they will be hesitant to give you a letter of employment. And on the lender's perspective, if you don't have a letter of employment, that sometimes can raise red flags for them too. Like, you've been working
Absolutely.
at this job for so long. Why can't you obtain a letter of employment? So,
Exactly. And the letter of employment also talks about what kind of employment do you have with that employer, right? So the kind means, are you a temporary employee? Are you a contract employee, right? A pay stub, simple pay stub does not tell that, right? So that's the reason why a job letter and a pay stub is required. So two different sources of confirmation the lenders are looking for. So
mhm.
moving further, if you're self-employed clients, which majority of the Canadians are, and I am also self-employed, so is Kim. And
Likewise.
Exactly. So self-employed clients basically need a little bit more information. More information is required. The first set of documents that comes to our mind when we talk about self-employed clients is basically 2 years, minimum 2 years consistent income coming from T1 documents. T1 document is prepared by your accountant. Normally they email you. It's probably 30, 40 pages, depending upon how you have set up your business. And then notice of assessments corresponding year. And if you basically claimed dividends from your business, then T5 would be there. Or if you basically withdraw salary, then T4 would be there. So these are the generic documents that we will need, and then we will dive deeper depending upon your situation. Other documents related to self-employment would be your certificate of incorporation, article of incorporation. If you have a company, if you are self-employed, but you didn't open up a company, you're a sole proprietor, then the T1 document will have further pages embedded into that T1, which is called a statement of business activity. So bottom line, if you're self-employed, just call your accountant and ask them to email you the full copy of your T1, including all T4s and T5s. That should be good enough as a starting point. Right, Kim? Am I missing anything?
Yeah, no, like you are absolutely correct. And then also having the associated notice of assessments to confirm the numbers. And if you have a tax balance owing, I find that it is a more common thing, right?
Yeah.
That lenders will want to confirm that you are paid up to date on your taxes. That is a big, big thing. I know sometimes, we're like, oh, yeah, it's okay. We'll pay it a little bit later. But keep in mind, if you're planning to buy, like get a home, get a mortgage, if there are taxes owing, we will need confirmation that it is paid. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, so some insight on the same topic. So some lenders may be okay with up to $2,000 if it is owing on the CRA latest notice of assessment. They would be okay that they will not ask you to pay it, and they would be okay with it. But some lenders, they will like to see it pretty much paid in full, a zero standing balance, right? So depending upon lender to lender, right? So these are the basic things required for income side of the story. And I believe if there is other sides of income like Canada Child Benefit, CCB income, which is also accepted by many different lenders, then the documents required would be the CRA document that came in, recent one, shows the full structure of the for upcoming year. And or you can provide 3 months bank statements showing that CCB child tax benefit is deposited into your bank account. Similar documents would be for pension clients who are earning pension. So T4A would be required, which is old age security, CPP, and let's say Alberta senior benefit, right? Those kind of documents would be required if you are on pension. So yeah, any other category comes to your mind, Kim, in regards to income?
I think that's it. Yeah, like those are usually the main ones that we see for income wise anyways, right? But of course, if you've got more specialty income, like maybe even rental income, like the way that we confirm that would be valid lease agreements, right? But yeah, like, and when I say valid too, just make sure that it is within the right realm, the date, because often or not we do see expired leases. Usually banks don't accept that unless you have like a confirmation that it's still ongoing. But just make sure lease agreements are signed by all parties, make sure there's dates on them. But yeah, rental income is a huge one. Other things too is if you do get, again, I have some clients that earn a significant amount of interest income, like that sometimes can help you out too, right? But again, all outlined in your taxes. So I think the main things that Preet and I want to say is, if you're ever unsure, obviously talk to us, right? We'll give you specific lists. And income is such a critical piece because the more income that we can add on, the higher you qualify for, right? The greater your purchase power is. So milk it, utilize it, right? If you've got multiple streams, show us. We want to see that.
Yeah, earlier in those days, in golden days, I would say prior to, let's say, 2015, when oil was strong, maybe there were different programs from different lenders where just the notice of assessment was good enough for many self-employed clients, and those lendings were available and they were called as equity lending. those days are gone. That's why I said it's a golden thing. Now the lenders basically they need everything, the T1s, notice of assessments, T4s, T5s. They just want to make sure that your income is there and you are basically worthy of the loan that you are basically asking for. And the word that we will always highlight is consistency. So it is, if it is showing an upward trend in the income, it's fine. If it is a declining trend, then we'd have to do more explanation why it declined. Then we would need to find a rationale for that. And more questions, Kim and me will ask you more questions why it declined, i.e. COVID, let's say job loss or anything like that, right, Kim?
Oh yeah, totally. The story makes it like right now in the world of underwriting, because of course, as I mentioned, when we're doing the application, we're checking your income, we're checking your credit and all the other stuff, but the income has to make sense. There has to be a story behind it. That's why if there is anything critical that you think might be a benefit, like if there was a job change or time taken off, or like Preet said, COVID, that's been a huge thing, you got to
Mm,
let us know because the lenders, that's what they're looking for, right?
mhm.
Anything that's not consistent, they'll want questions. And the more upfront that we can give them, the smoother the process is. So I know
Absolutely.
a lot of people, the golden days are gone now, right? I miss those days. Preet, I'm sure you feel the same way as well too. But with how it is right now, for all you listeners out there, just know that it is common when we do ask for all these because it is getting harder. It is getting
Yeah.
more tricky. It's different set of guidelines now, and it's because again, there's so many variables that have happened in our industry that has made it be this complex, right? So
Absolutely.
it is a
Yeah.
normal thing. It's not us being picky. It's our industry, and
Yeah.
this is why you get the insider edition.
Absolutely. And the more insight we will share with you is the most common question that we always hear from clients who are putting 20% or higher than 20% down payment is why do bank need to see my income? I'm already putting 20% down payment. And I will go back to the same point, the golden days. Now, even you are putting 35% down payment, 50% down payment, the bank is still looking for income for the remaining portion. How you will sustain it, how will you make payments for the remaining portion, and income, as Kim mentioned, has become a very important topic in the overall mortgage financing condition, other than down payment and credit history, right? So yeah,
Hmm. And
yeah.
those are something that we'll probably dive into like on another podcast. But like I mean, for this recording, as you can see, like the first insight that we have is within the mortgage application, income is very, very critical. There are other pieces as well too, which we will dive in a little bit later. But hopefully, this gives you a little glimpse as to why income is so important when we need it for an application.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you very much for listening, tuning in to our channel, and we appreciate your feedback. If you have any questions, you will find our details on the bottom of the screen. Feel free to call any one of us, and we would be glad to help you out. Thank you. Take care. Until next time.
Until next time.